New question up, so we're going to handle this the same way we know how, reading the question sentence first. So here it says, how much milk remains? Express as a mixed number. And we can see here the answer choices, they are all expressed as mixed numbers, but the most important part here is not the numbers or the type, but what we're supposed to do with those numbers. So let's check that out here. So how much milk remains? Everyone, when we think about how much is left, how much remains, what we have after we took something away, what operation are we trying to think of here? Yeah, that's subtraction. That's subtraction. Let's double check. Let's make sure we read the story before we make that conclusion. But I have a pretty good hunch that we might be subtracting here. So check this out. Sophie has 8 cups of milk. She uses 3/4 cups. How much milk remains? So the way that we're going to line this up is, hey, we start off with 8 cups and we are trying to subtract 3/4 of a cup. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to go off on a limb and say, hey, how do I subtract a fraction from a whole number? That's probably a pretty decent question to ask. And so let's go ahead and understand how that's going to happen. Here it is. Everyone, we have a couple of options. One, and I'll show you 2 ways here. I'll show you the long way, and then I'll show you the shorter way. Here, let's start with the long way. Everyone, if I wanted to show these as 2 fractions, what do we know about whole numbers? Whole numbers can always be expressed over what? Over what number? Yeah, over 1. That is correct. I could have 6, that's the same as 6 over 1. I could have 7, that's the same as 7 over 1. I could just have the whole number 25. That's the same as 25 over 1. So how does that help us here? Well, guess what? This 8 minus 3/4, we will go ahead and rewrite that as 8 over 1 minus 3/4. So because we're here, everybody, you tell me, we don't have the same denominators, but what can we quickly, easily do with this denominator of 1? What can we do with that denominator of 1 to quickly get the same denominator? That's right, multiply by 4. We have a 4 over here. We need to match it over here. We can multiply by 4. If we do that quickly, we end up getting 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 4 is 4. And now we see that we can subtract. Sweet. Let's get after it. 32 minus 3, everyone, what's that going to be? 32 minus 3 ends up becoming 29. Yeah. So we have 29 divided by 4. Now that we're here, looks like we have to turn this back into a mixed number. Let's go ahead and do that. So to turn this back into a mixed number, super straightforward. We'll go ahead and divide the 29 by 4. And the whole number that we get, that is the whole number. The remainder is what remains in the numerator. Everyone, 4 goes into 29 7 times. 4 times 7, that's 28. So we'll subtract 28, and we end up getting 1 left over. But there it is. This right here, this is our whole, and then that 1 at the bottom, that's what remains. And so when we write our final answer, that will be 7 and then 1 over 4. So 7 1/4, that's what our final answer will be. Answer choice A. But like I promised, there are 2 ways to do this problem. That right there was the first one. Let me go ahead and show you the other way that if you know this, you'll have a much, much easier time. So if you're proud of getting the right answer and you use this technique, hey, be proud. Be proud. But now I'm going to open your eyes to the difference between knowing how to get it done correctly and knowing how to get it done quickly. Watch this. Everyone help me out. If I were to do the following, if I were to say, hey, 8, I don't want to write it as 8. I want to go ahead and write this as 7 plus 1. Everyone, is it true that 8 is the same as 7 plus 1? Can we agree on that? I know that seems pretty weird for me to just write down randomly, but can you agree with that for me? Yeah, 8 is 7 and 1 together. Now, why did I do that? Check this out. This is what the cool part about this. This 1 right here, I am going to write it, well, guess what? Over 1. I'm just going to do that. So we have 7 plus 1 over 1 minus 3 over 4. Let me be very clear. This right here, this is all I did. Everyone, this is where things get quick. Riddle me this. What did I multiply that denominator again to make it 4? What did I multiply that again before again? What was that? Oh yeah, that was 4. Okay, cool. No problem. Check this out. Times 4, and look at what I have. 7 plus 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4. Look at this. Let me just draw a little box over here because this is the money. Help me out, everybody. What is 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4? What's that going to be? The hardest question of the day. What is 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4? Oh, yeah, 1/4. Oh, yeah, that's our final answer. 7 1/4. With half of the work, we got the same proper, correct answer. There we go. There's just multiple ways that you can work with mixed numbers. And as you refresh and really practice, you'll see that there's a difference between refreshing and developing proficiency. And this is one of those moments where it really pays off, saving you a ton of time.